Hi guys! Today we will be doing a tutorial on quarter 3, module 5, which is the evidence of evolution. So before we proceed today, formal discussion, let me first introduce myself. I am Geralyn Samson from the BESMSCAT, and I am taking a Bachelor of Secondary Education major in Mathematics, and I am your pre-service teacher. How are you all? I believe that everyone is getting used to this new system, which is the modular mode of learning, and thankfully the technology are created because it is indeed helping us in many things, especially in learning. Well, that was just an introduction because this video will be all about science, and to be specific, this will be all about the theory of evolution. That is Charles Darwin's theory. We have heard this many times, and sometimes this causes a debate because some believes that humans are from monkeys. Do you believe in it? What is your stand to that? Let's get to know first who is Charles Darwin. You know, Charles Darwin is an English naturalist, geologist, and biologist. He is best known for his contributions to evolutionary biology. What is evolution? In Merriam Dictionary, it is a cumulative inherited change in a population of organisms through time leading to the appearance of new forms. It is a process by which new species or populations of living things develop from the pre-existing forms through successive generations. The evidence of evolution, let's talk about this. Evidence of evolutions according to Charles Darwin's theory of evolution are through natural selection is widely supported by evidence from different scientific fields like fossils, comparative anatomy, and genetic information. Here are some examples of fossils. Look at this. The most common example of body fossils are dinosaur bones. And next to that is the Tyrannosaurus Rex skull. What is fossils? Fossils are the preserved physical remains of organisms. Examples of fossils include bones, shells, and feathers. Organisms become fossils varying in time, in size. Fossils are solid evidence that organisms found in the past are different from what is found today, providing us a narrative of how life was in the past and how organisms evolved over millions of years. We can compare the anatomies of past and present organisms. The age and other characteristics of fossils help determine from what time and period they are formed and which organisms lived relative to each other. Here are how fossils are formed. Here's the example. The dinosaur dies in a river. The body is covered with sediment. The meat decomposes. The dinosaur becomes fossil. The sediments becomes rock. The skeleton is pressed. The Earth's movement erased the layers of the rocks to the surface. The rock erodes, exposing the fossil. For an organism to become a fossil, it undergoes the process called fossilization. Organisms decompose fairly quickly after death, and the degree of decomposition along with that covers the remains determine the extent of fossilization. The organism could be covered or buried by sediment like lava or tar, and then once it gets buried deeper into the earth, the empty spaces within the decomposed body will be filled with minerals. Example of a body fossil is a Trionyx, a large soft-shelled turtle that could be found around Africa, the Middle East, since the Cretaceous period. It is usually the hard parts of the body that what we call the body fossils, like the bones, teeth, and shells, which are fossilized, although traces of skin, feathers, and other soft tissues have been found. Next to body fossils is a trace fossil. On the other hand are the preserved marks of activity left behind by an organism when it was still alive. This can be a footprint, feces, or even an imprint of an ancient plant. That is body fossils and the trace fossils. Now let's move on to the let's move on to the comparative anatomy. Comparative anatomy is the study of the similarities and differences in the structures of organisms. Even if organisms are categorized as different species, there are still similarities in their basic forms. Now let me introduce to you what is homologous and analogous. What is homologous? It is the similarity due to the shared ancestry between pair of structures or genes in different taxa. Example of analogous structures is this. Look at this picture. This picture shows the same basic pattern of bones of different animals. They all serve different functions, even though the basic bone pattern was inherited from a common ancestor. Look at this. This is the bone of a human, horse, a cat, a bat, bird, and a whale. Another example of homologous structure is comparative embryology, wherein embryos of different species show similarities due to likely having a common ancestor. Here's an example. The fish, salamander, tortoise, chick, pig, cat, rabbit, and the human. They are all similar. That is what we call comparative embryology, and that is an example of homologous structures. So what is analogous structures? Analogous structures are features of different species that are similar in function but not necessarily in structure, and which do not derive from a common ancestral feature. Here's an example of analogous structure. Look at this picture. This shows that the wings of bats, birds, and insects look similar on the outside and have the same function, which is to fly, but anatomically they are different. That is homologous and analogous structures. Now let's move on to genetic information. It was only during the early 20th century that DNA discovered as a genetic material. Therefore, genetic information as evolutionary evidence through finding similarities in DNA sequences is fairly modern, but by far provides the strongest evidence in support of the theory of evolution. So look at this example, look at this picture. Picture of a human, chimpanzee, gorilla, and orangutan. Look at their similarities. This picture shows how closely related humans and primates are through DNA from a common ancestor. Humans are more closely related to chimpanzees than to orangutans and gorillas. This picture supports this assertion as the genetic codes of humans and chimpanzees are very similar compared to humans with gorillas and orangutans. So that is the theory of evolution. That's Charles Darwin's idea. Life on Earth has lasted an estimated 3.5 billion years, experiencing different environmental changes like extreme heat and ice age. But living organisms on Earth have their seasons, and all living things will be wiped out eventually. So what is your idea about Charles Darwin's theory of evolution? What is your comment to that? Don't be ashamed to share your ideas and leave it in the comment section so we could be able to hear or read your ideas. And I hope and I believe this video helps you and this give you some information about the theory of evolution. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for giving us your time, a little time to watch this video. And I hope that this helped you with your modules. Thank you so much and God bless you.